And if you have a team with a broad set of, could sound like Liam Neeson. Hi, and welcome to Coffee Not Found, the podcast about all things gamification and advertising and marketing. This week, we're going to kind of continue the previous week's conversation around gamification in the workplace and kind of team building. This time around, more concentrating and hopefully staying a little bit more focused on things you can do with with your teams to kind of get them working as a team and using games kind of as the tool. The first one, which I thought we would get to last week, we'll do this week, is kind of escape rooms. Mm-hmm. I really like this mechanic. I know it's a popular one with a few people in the office because Seamus was going to do it with his family even at one point. Yeah. So,
and I've done a couple now. The first one I ever did was in Budapest, actually. 2 girls I used to work with, and we had no clue what was going on. Like, we walked into the room, we're like, okay, how do we start the game? Okay, we need to get a clue. It wasn't explained very well to us, in fairness, but I've been obsessed with them ever since. Done one in Budapest, one in Carlingford, and then went to the same one in Dublin twice, but did 2 different rooms. Got out of one, didn't get out of the other. One was with my family. They let me down, didn't get out.
The other one was, Heather was in the other one, wasn't she?
She was, yeah, we got out of that one. But that was the easy room.
Okay. Yeah. We did... Borg? I'm surprised actually because it sounds Swedish. I'm surprised Heather hasn't done it yet. It's up near Cavan area, but it's like 20 rooms, and you have a stamper, and like they're graded different types of rooms. So some are kind of like thinking rooms, some are physical rooms, some are.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, and like so you just go in and you try and stamp. And we went in with a group that was like 5 and 4 in the groups running around. And
were you against each other?
We ended up being who got more stamps on their card.
I think that's a good way of doing it as well.
So and again, because while
if you have enough people,
individual leaderboards, no, but like when it's a team effort to come across, it does. At least as well, there you could either go the physical or the mind route. So if you were a group, maybe not as physically agile. Like there were parts where you were supposed to press different buttons at the same time. Yeah. And like that's all well and good, but if I have to balance and do that, I'm falling flat on my ass every day. But there were other games where like being tall would have been helpful or whatever. Yeah. So, but it is a great way of forcing people in a very tight situation to work together, and rewarding that work.
You can see people's strengths very clearly, I think, with that kind of thing. Yeah,
the person who's very good at organising very quickly becomes the person who's organising.
Yeah. But even in the traditional escape rooms, like they're all very atmospheric, you have like the dungeon kind of room and all these props and stuff, and you'll have people who are really good at like the riddle type clues, and then you'll have people who will spot something in the room that nobody else has seen and like is really important to figuring out, the next step or whatever. So like... It's not to say that it's only for a particular kind of person or for a particular kind of skill set, because it's not like
you need the broad spectrum. But if you have a team where it's like that it's made of different groups, it's a great way of people subconsciously coming to actually appreciate the different skills that are being brought to the equation. So like if everyone runs in and they're all footy players and they're like, oh yeah, great, going to lift something, and there's a mind puzzle and they're like, oh crap, no, I've got nothing. So that's definitely a dynamic to kind of embrace. Now what we do in our office, I suppose, we do board games a lot. And I know it's probably not for everybody, but for me, there's 2 aspects to it. There's the different kinds of board games. So there's the you versus everybody else board game, which are the most common ones, obviously. But then there's the team ones as well. So where you're playing against the board. So Pandemic is a very good example of that. Zombicide, for the most part. Battlestar Galactica is interesting in that there's a backstabbing element to it, which kind of does add a bit of team, but it also takes it away a little bit. Mm-hmm. But, you know, for us, or for me, one of the reasons we do get board games, it's not just to build a bit of team camaraderie and a bit of banter. It's also to get people in the game mindset.
Yeah, and to appreciate kind of the logic behind how they're created.
Because if all you do is play video games, okay, because that's the thing, like, I mean, I had two guys recently, young enough, and they found out what I do and that I make games. And they're like, oh my God, I want to make games. I was like, okay, cool. What do you code in, or, you know, what do you draw? No. I want to write the story for them. And I'm kind of going, everybody wants to write the story for games. There's no barrier to entry there. You need to understand the mechanics. You need to do something in it. And like knowing a story, but not knowing the gamification elements to the story that make it worthwhile for people to play, it kind of falls on deaf ears. So that's yet another tangent. But basically, it's not really, because it's the reason why we do the board game side of things. What other
scavenger hunts you mentioned?
Oh yeah. I suppose these days they're still very analog in their doing. However, you can bring it in that it's mobile phone related, so you're taking snapshots of something. But scavenger hunts are great because it forces a couple of things. If it's in an area that you know relatively well, obviously you're pooling information together. Yeah. But if it's an area you don't, well, then you're having to go out and either Google or ask people face to face.
Imagine.
I know.
Real world conversation.
Yeah. And then the person looking at you going, and they go back to their phone. But scavenger hunts were always a great one for us, because it just forced, different.
If you have a big group of people as well.
Yeah. Like 2 people running around in a scavenger hunt is a fairly lonely experience. And then as well, when you run into each other and you're running around as groups, and it's like, how many have you got?
Yeah.
How many of you? It's the same as the border board kind of thing. It's like, it's a great dynamic. And again, you're bringing. If you can bring groups of people together, and in that group, people who would normally not interact with each other in a company, or they might have hostility towards each other in a company, for example, finance and sales, and you then say, look, they're realizing that this person has a certain talent that you didn't realize. There's bridging. You're creating a personality there, a personal connection, so that when they go back to the office, and the finance person is saying you can't sell that to them because of this, there's a bit of a relationship there that at least it might smoothen the edge, and they can actually work together and find it out, not just be, up against each other. And I think that's one of the major problems I see when people do team events, and they actually do them in teams of departments. And you're like, no.
Defeats the purpose.
Okay, your department might work together a bit, and that's fine to achieve a goal. But the departments within your company will actually get along less than when they were before.
I think that's a very Irish thing to do, though. Just stick with your own kind of group of friends.
Yeah. It's not. Well, I would often just walk into a random but I'm from the country, so my wife used to always say she knew when I was standing at the bus stop outside college, because all the Dublin people would be standing behind the bus stop because it was a weird country guy trying to have a conversation with them. But I think the scavenger hunts, the escape rooms, board games.
Escape rooms are really popular for hens and stags and stuff now.
Yeah?
Like a massive thing, yeah.
As long as they're before they've started drinking, it's all fine.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I think it could just get a bit messy. But it's all very kind of usable stuff. I'm trying to think of other.
There's so many companies now that specialize in these kind of team building events.
Yeah.
Yeah, really unique days out per se, rather than just the traditional icebreakers or traditional drinks in the pub
I know Mary did blindfolded off-road driving.
Nice.
So you had 2 people, and you were driving with a blindfold on, and your mate had to direct you.
Oh God!
They were in old Land Rovers with no power steering, and she was turn left, 3 turns the wheel to get the rack and pin and turn. But it's
a huge element of trust.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that whole trust fall thing. Even things like the sumo wrestling suits, the inflatable suit. Or the inflatable football where everybody's wearing the inflatable protectors, and they mill into each other and they go bouncing off, And again, yeah, these are going back to the more physical ones, or like giant Jenga.
Yeah.
Even like, because we still have the pool table here from all our testing and stuff, like even watching that, people playing pool, and the dynamic of the games that we had to build in. So, I mean, even just to watch, in an isolated incident, to watch when you have a team of players around the pool table and they're playing killer, where it's you against the board, versus when you're playing torpedo and it's you against other people.
Yeah.
And the dynamic and what happens. And like, if you have competitive people in the group, it can shift very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And this is why as well, I done team building where like you go playing golf and stuff.
I know.
And the person is there. I remember playing golf, and I remember playing golf because it's singular. I did buy a set of clubs. They're in the attic. But I had this really bright orange golf ball because I thought it was great because I couldn't lose it, you know. And like we were halfway around the course, and one of the guys turns to me and he hands me a set of like ordinary golf balls. I can't watch you playing with that anymore. It's just insulting. And I'm looking down, but it's cool. It's got like a picture of Donald Duck on it or something. I can't remember what it was. And like, you know, he's like, no. And
thought you weren't taking it seriously enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm awful at this game. Yeah. So anyway, go back. Right ways and wrong ways, and right dynamics and wrong dynamics. And there are some organizations where golf outing is the perfect thing to do.
Yeah. And to that point, that's kind of an example of where an activity doesn't suit someone and therefore they're not going to be engaged in it, therefore defeating the purpose of doing it in the first place.
Perfectly engaged until I had to stop using the orange golf ball. Then I was disappointed. But yeah, it's... And you can't please everyone all the time, which is why maybe if you're going to do 2 or 4 events a year,
at least make them optional so that people aren't forced into doing things they don't want to do. And
change it up.
Yeah, and who's to say that you can't tie it in then with your company values? So if you're really into CSO and charity work, why not do like a charity initiative where everyone gets involved and
that's true.
Kind of gamify it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you see teams, like the bigger scale thing where they go abroad and they build houses for somebody, but just
pot plants in the local hospital, go and do a local cleanup, things like that.
Yeah,
they all foster a kind of sense of teamwork and doing a good deed as well. So,
I think pick your methods wisely. Don't be afraid to experiment. Like running one escape room doesn't cost an arm and a leg unless you do it really badly. But
I think the trick with any kind of... Like, there's a difference between team building and team bonding, I think.
Yeah. Is there?
Well, yeah. Like, bonding is more of a friendship and camaraderie thing than team building is kind of trying to identify strengths in people, I would say.
Yeah. Are there unique events for one or the other?
Well, there kind of should be when you think of it that way.
Yeah, I'm curious what ones work for what. Oh God, I was doing an install yesterday in 37-degree heat of a warehouse, and in the corner was a slushy machine and like one of those ice cream cone things for outside a shop. Neither working, but they were just there taunting me. So on that note of complete tangentness, we'll call it an evening or an afternoon. This has been Coffee Not Found. Our social channels will follow. Check out our other videos and subscribe or leave a review. Positive one, please. I'm delicate. And we'll see you next week.